Hi everyone, welcome back for day 3 of our article on Angela's Ashes by Frank McCourt. I'm Kat.
I'm Elsie.
And so we've finished the actual story of the book. So we learned that Frank's family was very, very poor. His parents were Irish, but they had their kids in America, and he grew up during the Great Depression.
Yeah, and he lost several of his siblings, like his sister and his brothers.
Yeah, I guess they probably died due to illness or starvation, something like that, because his family could barely afford any food. But it wasn't all bad, right? Yeah, so his father was an alcoholic, but he really loved to tell stories, and he made his children laugh. He entertained them. He showed him laughter and light. And he says his mother, Angela, taught him how to work hard.
Right, so he learned how to survive from his mom, and he learned how to look on the bright side from his dad.
That's right, yeah. So eventually, knowing those skills and, being a strong person, he made his own way in the world. He got better and better jobs. He moved back to New York, and he made a satisfying life for himself. And then he wrote this book.
Right.
Yeah.
And today we are going to talk more about this book, right?
Yeah, we're talking about the book, and we're also talking about some of the themes and some of the background and things like that. And so let's learn a little bit more about Frank McCourt's life.
Reading. Angela's Ashes. Almost all the events that happen in Frank McCourt's life story, Angela's Ashes, are true. By telling his story, Frank shares with the world what growing up in poverty is like. Poverty is the biggest theme in Angela's Ashes. It's everywhere. In the food Frank can't eat, the clothes he doesn't own, and the unpleasant houses he lives in. Why does Frank experience so much poverty? It might have something to do with his social class. Even though Frank is intelligent and works hard, he can't improve his class. Rich people look down on him because he's poor. They purposely attempt to keep Frank from joining them. The final theme is Frank's perseverance. Like many men at the time, Frank's father, Malachi, gives up by turning to alcohol. Frank, however, doesn't want this life for himself or his family. He continues to fight for his goals. This pays off in the end when he finally sails back to the U.S.
All right, we start our article today by saying almost all the events that happen in Frank McCourt's life story, Angela's Ashes, are true.
Angela's Ashes 这本书里面Frank McCourt 他的生活几乎都是真實的。
So, yeah, everything that happened is true. He lost his sister, he lost his brothers, he moved from the U.S. to Ireland and all of that sort of thing. And he's telling his real story. By telling his story, Frank shares with the world what growing up in poverty is like. So he's talking about poverty here. As we know, his family was very poor, and the state of being poor is called poverty. So it comes from this word in Latin. I think it's like I can't remember. I know that in Spanish it's pobre, so it's poverty. And it's a noun, means the state of being poor. If you are impoverished, that's also another way to say that you are very, very poor. So an example sentence could be, the families in this town live in extreme poverty. Some of them don't even have money for rice.
Poverty 这個名詞代表貧困、窮困，所以呢 live in poverty 代表生活是貧困、窮困的。那這邊呢，我們說藉由說故事 Frank 讓世界知道在貧窮裡成長是什麼樣子。
So they live in poverty, and growing up in poverty can be very stressful. Poverty is the biggest theme in Angela's Ashes. So the theme here is what we talk about with every literature article. It's what tells the main ideas and purposes of a story. It's, what do you learn from this story? That's its theme.
Theme 代表的是主題，所以在這本書當中，在 Angela's Ashes 這本書裡，貧窮是最大的主題。
So poverty is the main theme. It's everywhere, it being poverty. In the food Frank can't eat, the clothes he doesn't own, and the unpleasant houses he lives in. Yeah, poverty is often more about what you don't have than what you do. So he, doesn't own good clothes, can't eat good food, can't live in a good house. The house he does live in is unpleasant. Unpleasant here, as you can probably guess from the "un" at the beginning, means not something. It's an adjective that means not enjoyable, not pleasant. Something that is pleasant is nice, it makes you feel good, it's comfortable. If it's unpleasant, it causes you discomfort, it makes you uncomfortable, it causes you pain. So that's unpleasant. His houses were probably, didn't have good heat. Maybe they didn't have any heat at all. And like we said in day 2, the first floor of one of his apartments flooded. They had to live in the second floor. That's an unpleasant situation. An example sentence could be, there's a very unpleasant smell coming from the house next to us. It smells like a dead body.
Ooh.
Ew.
这边呢，課文用到 it's everywhere， 助詞 it 指的就是 poverty 貧窮這件事情。所以呢，課文說的是貧窮到處都是，在吃不到的食物當中，不能擁有的衣服裡面。And the unpleasant houses he lives in. Unpleasant 這個形容詞呢，代表令人不快的，使人討厭的。那相反，當然就是把字首 un 拿掉，變成 pleasant 就可以了。貧窮啊，也出現在他那令人不快的房子裡。It was wet and cold.
It was wet, cold, wet, more wet.
Yeah, and not proper.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, why does Frank experience so much poverty?
為什麼他經歷這麼貧窮的生活呢？
Because he's poor. No, I think the question here is asking, why does he keep living in poverty? Why is it so hard for his family to get a better life? And the answer from the next line says, it might have something to do with his social class. So, have something to do with something else. It means these two things, they're related to each other. So, him experiencing poverty is about his social class, or that's one of the things making it happen. So, if you're poor, you're going to keep being poor. That has something to do with that.
To have something to do with something代表的是与点点点有關，所以我們可以放在像這樣的例句裡面。He might have something to do with this murder case. We need to ask him a few questions. 他可能跟這樁謀殺案有關聯，我們需要問他一些問題。那如果是否定的，沒有關聯，毫無關聯，我們可以說 don't have anything to do with.For example, I don't have anything to do with this, so I don't have anything to say to you. 我跟這件事毫無關聯，所以我對你沒有什麼好說的。那課文提到的是呢 ，Frank 的貧窮生活跟他的 social class， 也就是社會階級有關係。So this is the thing that he can't change, right?
Right. When you're born in a certain social class, especially if you're born in a lower social class, it's very hard for you to make your way up. We have a saying, you're born with a silver spoon in your mouth. That means that if you are rich, you're usually born rich. And then things are very easy for you. But if you're born poor, things are going to be very hard for you. Even though Frank is intelligent and works hard, he can't improve his class. So intelligent here, this is a very good thing about Frank. He is intelligent, and we can see that by him writing this book. It's an adjective that means somebody is smart. They have a good brain, they learn quickly, they can really pick up on things and make themselves seem like they have a lot of knowledge and gain a lot of knowledge because they are intelligent. Or they are intelligent. The noun would be they have intelligence, or they have a good intellect. So intellect is a little bit like intelligence, but it's more like your knowledge of things. If you say that you're an intellectual person, it means you're a person who likes to learn. Intelligent means you're smart. Intellectual means you like to learn. They're kind of the same thing. So an example sentence for intelligent. My brother is so intelligent that he was able to move up 2 grades in school.
Intelligent 這個形容詞呢，代表有才智的、聰明的。那再來呢，我們要看到句首的 even though 的用法，它表示雖然，是我們今天的英文練功房的重點。從屬連接詞 even though 的意思跟 though 是相近的哦，表示雖然、儘管，只是呢語氣比較強烈，通常用來描述已經發生的事實或存在的狀況，可以放句首或句中都可以。那我們的句型會是though 或是 even though 加上主詞加上動詞之後逗號，再加上另外一個主詞另外一個動詞，也就是它可以用來連接兩個子句。那順序交換的話呢，主詞動詞加上 even though 或是 though 之後，再加上另外一個主詞動詞。So for example, even though I went to bed at 9 p.m., I still couldn't fall asleep until 1 a.m. in the morning. 雖然我9點就去睡覺，但是我到半夜1點才睡着。這樣的句子呢，我們也可以這麼說 I still couldn't fall asleep until 1 a.m. in the morning, even though I went to bed at 9 p.m. 那這句呢，你也可以用 but 改寫。我們可以說 I went to bed at 9 p.m. but I still couldn't fall asleep until 1 a.m. in the morning. 不過同學們要注意的是呢，在中文裡面我們有雖然但是英文當中 though 和 even though 你用完之後就不可以再接 but。 那如果你有 but， 當然其他兩個也不能出現。那回到課文來，我們說雖然 Frank 聰明，工作努力，但是他改變不了他的階級。He couldn't change. He couldn't improve the class.
Yeah, it's hard to change your social class, like I said. Rich people look down on him because he's poor. Yeah, that's not news. Rich people look down on poor people a lot.
所以
yeah.
有錢人看不起他 look down on him， 那就是因為他貧窮。
They purposely attempt to keep Frank from joining them. So purposely here is this adverb that means in a way that's planned. It's when you mean to do something. It's not an accident. So they're not being like, oh, sorry, Frank, you can't join us because, we don't mean to, but, that's just how it is. They're actually saying, like, we don't want you to be on our level. We don't want you around. Like, we're going to keep trying to not let you be around. It's not an accident. So for an example sentence for purposely, Haley purposely didn't invite me to her birthday party. She didn't just forget the invitation. She just meant to not invite me. And they purposely attempt to keep him from joining them. So attempt here is a verb that means to try. It's basically a fancier way of saying try to. So to try to do something, to try and accomplish or complete something is to attempt. You can also say to make an attempt. So using attempt as a noun, you make an attempt to do something. Usually this means you don't succeed in doing it. And as we know, Frank got a little more money. He made a satisfying life. He did eventually change, so that's why we say attempt and not succeed here. So attempt, for an example sentence, Carl attempted to quiet the crying baby, but he only scared her and made her cry even more.
刚刚呢，我们說到的 purposely 這個副詞代表故意的、刻意的，也就是 do something on purpose。那另外呢 attempt 這個動詞代表試圖、嘗試 ，attempt to do something 試圖、嘗試做某事，也就是我們說的 try to do something。那這裡呢，文章說到的是他們故意試圖不讓 Frank 加入他們 ，because they look down on him。
So, yeah, they look down on him. They don't want him to join them. They're like, you're poor, we're rich, you can't be here, that kind of thing. But the final theme is Frank's perseverance. So perseverance here is this long word. When you persevere or you have perseverance, it's a quality that lets you continue trying to do something even though it's difficult. And usually if you have perseverance, enough of it, you will succeed. So that's the point. That's why it was only an attempt for them to keep him down because they couldn't keep him down. He persevered.
Perseverance 這個是名詞，代表不屈不撓、堅持不懈的精神。所以最後的主題是 Frank 堅持不懈的精神。He didn't give up. He kept trying. And finally, he succeeded.
Exactly. So Frank did succeed, but, he came from a place where success was not really coming so much from his father. Because it says, like many men at the time, Frank's father, Malachi, gives up by turning to alcohol. So to turn to something means to try something as a solution or kind of a way to distract from a problem. Alcohol doesn't solve his problems, of course, but it kind of makes him feel like they're not there for a little while he's drunk. And it's true that at this time, a lot of men who were poor, who were having a hard time because of the Great Depression, were drinking a lot. And that was the thing that was happening. And it still kind of happens sometimes now, but not as much. So, hopefully you won't turn to alcohol when you are in trouble. Turn to some other less unhealthy things instead.
Turn to something 代表是在遭遇困境的时候開始做、開始使用某個東西、某個物品。So, for example, he turned to drugs when he was 50 because he was broke and didn't have a job at that time. 他50歲的時候開始使用毒品，因為他當時破產，沒有工作。那 turn to somebody解釋的意思是呢，向某人求助。比如說 She turned to me when she didn't know what to do with her life. 在她不知道怎麼活下去的時候，她向我求助。那課文說的是像是大多數的男人一樣 Frank 的爸爸放棄生活，開始酗酒。
So Frank sees this and he doesn't want that. So it says Frank, however, doesn't want this life for himself or his family.
然而呢 Frank 不想讓自己和家人有這樣的生活 and he's not like his father.
Exactly. He continues to fight for his goals. To continue to do something, it means to do something without stopping. It means you keep doing it in the same way as before. So, he sees that his father's not doing so well, but Frank wants to work hard and he continues to work hard. That means he doesn't stop. He perseveres. He has that perseverance. It means he's going to keep going, keep fighting, and keep trying. And so an example sentence for continue, we can't continue the work on this project if we don't get the supplies that we need for it. That means the project already started, but you can't keep going unless you get what you need.
Continue 這個動詞呢，代表繼續。Continue to do something， 那就是繼續去做某事。那我們這邊說Frank 繼續為他的目標奮鬥。
So he continues, and what happens? It says this pays off in the end when he finally sails back to the U.S. Oh, he sailed. Gosh, I thought he would have flown on a plane, but I guess he sailed on a boat.
Okay, so he took a boat.
Yeah, but it paid off. His hard work, it all paid off. That means that he, went to try and get something and he got the result that he wanted. We often say hard work pays off. So if something pays off, it means you worked hard and then you got what you wanted.
Pay off 這個片語呢，代表得到回報。所以呢，你都會聽到人家告訴你 Don't give up and keep plugging away. 不要放棄，繼續奮鬥。Everything will pay off in the end. 最後一切都會得到回報的。就像是我們的課文當中，最後Frank 的努力得到回報，他終於回到了美國。He was back to the U.S.
Yeah, and then he made a satisfying life for himself. He wrote a best-selling book, which is still very famous to this day. And that's how he ended up. I wonder if he's still alive today. But anyway, you'll have to go and learn his story for yourself. And you definitely should read Angela's Ashes because it's a very touching book. And that's all we have on that. So we're glad to see that Frank ended up with a good life story. And that means it's time for us to go to our For You chat.
You chat.
All right, our chat question for today. What are some of your goals? What kinds of things will you have to do to meet them?
Wow, I have a lot of goals.
Me too. What's one of your main goals?
I want to be able to afford a house in maybe 5 years.
Oh my gosh, affording a house in Taipei is not easy.
Right, so it's actually not a goal, it's like a dream.
Oh no. Well, would you buy a house somewhere else?
Yeah, maybe not in Taipei City.
Maybe New Taipei City
maybe New Taipei.
Yilan.
Yilan or Linkou.
Or Changhua.
Or Changhua. How about Kaohsiung? Anyways,
yeah.
So what do I have to do to meet my goal? I guess I have to work harder, work more, work overtime.
Yikes.
To
save
earn
money.
more money and save more.
Will you invest your money or just put it in an account?
I'm trying to invest now.
Good job. I'm also trying to save money. I think my goal, well, okay. I have long-term goals and I have mid-term goals and I have short-term goals.
Oh, tell me about your short-term goal.
My short-term goal, I want to get some side jobs going involving my art and involving voice work, like podcasting and doing audiobooks and things like that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so within the next few months, I'm going to try and start doing that.
So you're going to be
and also, I'm going to get in good shape as well.
Good.
Yeah. So, yeah.
What about your long-term goals?
Long-term goal? I would also like to own a house. I don't know where, but
in Taiwan?
We'll see. Yeah, probably. And maybe have my own business. That would
Nice.
be cool. Yeah. So, yeah, you guys might have some short-term, mid-term, long-term goals of your own. You can talk about them, and definitely if they're really your goals and not just your dreams, you need to have actions that you will do for them.
And you need a plan.
You need a plan because you can't just say like, I'm going to do it and then it's going to happen. You need to actually, work for it. So maybe think of your action plan for your goals. I think that's a really motivating thing to do, and it will help you know what you need to do next. And we hope that this was an inspiring story for you. Keep in mind that anything that you persevere to do, you can do it. So that's all from us for now. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Vocabulary Review.
Poverty. When my father was young, he lived in poverty, but now he has lots of money. Unpleasant. The unpleasant taste in Michael's burger came from the old meat that was inside. Intelligent. Brian is an intelligent kid, and he gets the best grades in his class. Purposely. I purposely didn't invite Zora to my party because I don't like her. Attempt. Harry once attempted to write a book, but he gave up after 2 chapters. Continue. Though Clara wasn't feeling well at the office, she still continued to work.
智慧小補帖
Theme. Perseverance.
以上節目是由活用空中美語製作，活用空中美語雜誌，請洽詢全國各大書店。如欲索取試聽教材，請來電02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上網查詢，網址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net